So the entrepreneurial mentality is not a judgmental mentality, and that's the secret how great entrepreneurs are the best networkers in the world. Insightfulness is the key to entrepreneurship. Who is an entrepreneur? Somebody who has a new insight, a new drishti, right? That John D. Rockefeller is very egoistic. So Vivekananda didn't even look up from the letter he was writing. And Rockefeller said, "You don't know who I am." And Vivekananda looked up at him and he says, "Mr. Rockefeller, I know who you are and I know why you are here." You must have heard of the story of Samudra Manthan. Samudra Manthan is an old parable in Indian mythology. It's called churning of the ocean. You know the story about the Devtas on one hand, the Asurs on one hand, and together they have to churn the ocean. Now what is the lesson from this? It has a very deep lesson. In my sessions with various big corporates, I've had the opportunity to explain this in detail. Asurs and Devtas were enemies. They hated each other. But when you come together for a good cause and when you cooperate, you create something valuable. What is our main problem as people? We are judging others. He's not like me. He's not like... A good entrepreneur is somebody who joins the opposites. New combination of people. In a team, the people shouldn't all be alike, right? Let there be some friction, that doesn't matter. But the cause needs to be the same. That is called mission orientation. Then what happens? Everybody's energies, different energies align and you create some atomic power. So the Devtas and Asuras didn't like each other. They didn't like WhatsApping each other or emailing each other. Yeah, wo bhi karega to gali se karega. They would not do it with any good messaging. But when they put their shoulder to the task together, kya nikla usse? Amrit, right? Nectar. Nectar means the highest, best thing. The elixir of life. Immortality. That is one way of putting it. But also in the Samudra Manthan is very interesting because along with that they say came Lakshmi Ji. Correct? So Lakshmi Ji, the whole metaphor for value creation, wealth creation. But Lakshmi Ji also means well-being. We have a wrong conception in modern India. A lot of us think, oh, Lakshmi Ji is this, figure of wealth. No, Lakshmi Ji signifies a culmination of good effort. They say you must have heard, chase Saraswati and Lakshmi Ji comes on her own, right? In that way, Lakshmi Ji stands for all good things, result of toil, sweat, tears. Eventually, a good entrepreneur is looking to create Lakshmi not only for themselves, but for the world. And then Lakshmi Ji is pleased. Look at Steve Jobs. Why was Steve Jobs not on the billionaire lists which are published by Fortune magazine every year? Why was he not? You see, his focus was product, beauty, creation, value creation. His whole basis was that. He was not chasing wealth. But you realize he created the largest company in the world that after it had failed miserably, he reinvented it because his objectives were chasing the best. In a way, Saraswati, aesthetic, knowledge, out of that came the products and out of that came wealth creation for a lot of people, not just for himself. He had lived a very simple life. He lived like a monk. In his drawing room, there was just basic seating. He used to sit on the floor. He had some photographs of Einstein, Neem Karoli Baba and his gurus. And he had a music system. But he became the greatest wealth creator. So the entrepreneurial journey is not different from any other pursuit of excellence in life. The focus is different because at the end of it, you are providing a great service or creating a great product. But the value is the same as a person on any other mission. Steve Jobs was almost like a Zen monk. So the idea is this. Don't worry about getting hassled about who you like, who you don't like. Try and work with those you don't like. Then Amrit will come. So the entrepreneurial mentality is not a judgmental mentality. And that's the secret how great entrepreneurs are the best networkers in the world. You see, without networking, there's no entrepreneurship. How can you be the greatest networker in the world? Because you're not judging other people, no? Doesn't matter. You don't have a personal friendship with somebody, but you can come together for a great cause. So an entrepreneur is willing to knock on every door, and then he finds the doors opening. If you don't knock on the door, how will the door open? Entrepreneurism is all about opening new doors, new opportunities, creating something which didn't exist before. And to do that, you have to go outside your comfort zone. Asurs, they were not in their comfort zone working with the Devtas. The Devtas were not in the comfort zone working with the Asurs. But they went past that. And eventually something beautiful came out of it. And tangibly good. So I was saying Lakshmi Ji came out. elixir, Amrit was produced, of course. Lakshmi ji came. Then your good health, Dhanvantari, idea of well-being, wellness for others, mind, body, spirit, wellness. But also halal poison was also produced. Obviously, when there's friction, an entrepreneur does a lot of things. Sometimes you get negative results also. Don't worry about it, because who comes to the rescue? Shivji comes to the rescue. The idea is that the divine, the universe, whatever you call it, as Paulo Coelho says, right? That when you do something good, the entire universe conspires to make you achieve the objective when you wish for. So in that way, that divine grace also comes. So people say, oh, he got lucky. No, he didn't get lucky, that entrepreneur. Oh, he came up with the IPO in such a short time, in 2 years, he got lucky. No, it's not luck. Fortune favors the brave, those who are not scared, because they'll produce something and the rest, leave it up to the divine. No? Coming to a very important point, that's the whole secret of karma yoga. Let's look at what Krishna told Arjun in the Bhagavad Gita. What is he saying? He's saying, do your duty and leave the rest to God. You can call it God, you can call it existence. An entrepreneur believes in that. See, an entrepreneur may not believe in God, but he has faith. He has the power of faith and belief. Belief system is, an entrepreneur is not necessarily a philosopher. He might not say it, but you'll find these qualities. Next time you look at an entrepreneur you admire, look at the qualities within him. Or a leader you admire, think about it. Think about a leader on the sports field. Think about a leader on the political aspect. Think about the leader in the world of science and technology. Any field, or a warrior. Self-belief, belief in his team, and not worrying too much about what will happen, what not will happen. Arjun is saying, I don't want to fight this battle. And Krishna says, why are you worried? Leave the rest. Do what you have to do. Just do your duty and leave the rest to existence, to God. Doing your duty means do it fully with the completeness of your energy. An entrepreneur does not dwell too much on anxiety. Yes, there are anxious moments. But if you dwell in anxiety all the time, what will happen, what will not happen, you won't have the guts to fight, right? If you spend a normal day worrying about a result, will you be able to pick up the phone and call the 10 people you could have called today with a happy demeanor? So and Krishna tells Arjun, fight. And you'll notice that Krishna's enigmatic smile. He's giving us a message that even in the midst of battle, you can smile. Do it with that heart. Do it. Be a brave heart. Okay. Now, Krishna is the mystery of the Mahabharata. He's chosen not to take any side, but he's just a Sarathi, correct? So, Krishna is the hidden guide or the compass. Krishna is the hidden guide or the compass, the power which is always with us. All of us are Arjun. All of us have to fight for, he calls him Dhananjay, right? Krishna calls Arjun Dhananjay, the winner of wealth. It's very strange. It's a very strange word to use for a warrior. But yes, Dhananjay means the winner of wealth. Arjun, be a good example for others. Even to be a winner of wealth, you must have some faith within you. And with every Arjun, there is some Krishna. Whether that Krishna is within you or outside you, that's up to you to decide. You have your own path. Nobody should tell you the path. But faith as the fulcrum of all teachings, whether it is Guru Nanak Dev Ji or Gautam Buddha, who says you must believe there's a Buddha. The difference between you and me is that I know I'm a Buddha, you don't know you're a Buddha. Have faith that you can be a Buddha, for example. Or you have Jesus of Nazareth, who says the kingdom of God is within you. The power is within you. And in our Vedas, it is Aham Brahmasmi. I have the power within me. The ultimate is within me. Right? With this kind of thinking is how, for example, a great king of India, Chandragupta Maurya is a great world icon of leadership. In a way, you can say he's a great example of a person who had nothing, zero, to creating the biggest kingdom in India, which had existed till then, the Magadhan kingdom, with Patliputra as his capital. So again, if you look at him as a template for the entrepreneurial journey, starting with zero resources, but because of his internal qualities, he was spotted by Chanakya. So if you have good internal qualities, you will be spotted by the right people. The right people, they see the light in you. They'll believe in you. He was a shepherd boy, but the right person spotted him because of his own qualities. So your own qualities come first. Then you'll find that 10 people will look at you and they'll see the light in you. That is the whole idea of belief in how others will believe in you. Go for an investor meeting. How You see, financials are one thing, but at the end of the day, it's about the belief in the individuals who are going to be accomplishing that mission. And Chandragupta Maurya went on to become the greatest king, the most popular king. Even Alexander's troops who were stationed in northwestern India. Alexander, of course, had died, but his troops were there. And his whole settlement was there. They used to feel afraid. Nobody really invaded his kingdom. And they used to send him gifts. He used to send them gifts. In fact, Seleucus Niceta's daughter was married to Chandragupta. So he got the right alliances, the right networking, etc. He expanded his kingdom, won a lot of wealth. But what I'm trying to get at is, at the age of 40, he was influenced by a Jain Muni and he had the guts to leave everything. He became a Digambar monk and he went to South India. And with penance, he passed away also. So the idea is not to be a Chandragupta and to give up everything. The idea is that look at the quality of the guy. He's ready to make a sacrifice also. He has so much good qualities within him. He's a good example of a person who has a sense of mission, duty, wealth creation, right networking, creating good for society, and himself also he was not a person who used to give up things. He used to enjoy his life. But when it came to making a sacrifice, he made the sacrifice. And the entrepreneur, the distinction is the person who's willing to stake his own self. That's when the team believes in him. In that way, again, Steve Jobs, again, a very good example of modern entrepreneurship, or Elon Musk for that example. People who the whole world can look up to as entrepreneur icons. So Elon Musk, as he says a few years back, he was left with $30-40 million and he decided to risk it. He decided to stake it on two things that he believed in. He could have sat pretty, but because he had that entrepreneurial mindset from within, he was not just there just to sit on his laurels or to enjoy the wealth he had. He needed to create value. The beauty about Elon Musk is, within him you can see personal qualities, but you'll also see that he's trying to do something for the larger good. It's unprecedented and he has become the richest man ever. Steve Jobs asked his chief designer, Jonathan Ive. Jonathan Ive is the one who actually conceptualized the iPhone and the entire range, iMac and everything else, right? For Apple's second coming with Steve Jobs. And he asked Jonathan Ive. Jonathan Ive was not able to focus on the design tasks. He asked Jonathan Ive, he said, Johnny, are you willing to sacrifice anything? What have you sacrificed? And then Jonathan Ive got it. He discarded all the designs he was doing and he began afresh. We become too attached to what we are doing. An entrepreneur in Steve Jobs' vision is somebody who's willing to get rid of a lot of things, sacrifice so-called what we need, and focus on something beautiful, something you truly believe in. Leave all the rest. Don't get distracted. The problem is people spread themselves too thin. Make yourself such that you focus on a few key tasks which truly create value for others. That is the key. We get a very good, interesting view about Japanese management style and innovation from Buddhism, because a lot of Japanese style of management is influenced by Buddha's words. There you see a direct correlation between the material and the spiritual. It's a very beautiful part of Japanese philosophy. It's not separate. We think, what is spirituality? Where is materialism? We want to be an entrepreneur. How has spirituality got to do with it? It has everything to do with it. Buddhism, and Zen Buddhism in particular, is in the very fabric and aesthetic of Japanese idea of wealth creation, Japanese idea of long-term planning, and meticulousness to tasks. And keeping it simple, keeping it beautiful, keeping it neat. Zen gardens are the neatest gardens you can find, right? Zen archery is very stark. You don't have to think about how you'll shoot the arrow. You just have no thought, keep your consciousness clean, and the arrow will find its own mark. It's a very beautiful thing. Don't get worried when you're shooting the arrow. Why I'm saying this is for two reasons. Again, coming back to Apple, which is a good example of a company which started and disrupted the entire marketplace. Basically, it's based on Zen. You look at the iPhone, it is a very Zen product. There's no extra clutter. It's pure, sublime, basic but useful. That is the idea. That is Steve Jobs' creed. And Japanese management style is like that. It comes from a few things from Gautam Buddha. Everything is correlated, my friends. Nothing is separate. Great kings used to come to Gautam Buddha when he was alive. Great merchants used to come. The biggest merchants used to sponsor Gautam Buddha's sanghas. The idea is this. Gautam Buddha says two things. Charaivati, Charaivati. Also, it is there in the older Upanishads. Charaivati, Charaivati. Aitreya Upanishad. Keep flowing. That is the spirit of entrepreneurism. The idea is in today's disruptive world, you can't afford to get stuck onto old ideas. What Zen Buddhism calls the best state of mind is having a fresh mind, a new way of looking at things. So an entrepreneur is who? An entrepreneur is somebody who is looking at things with a freshness of vision. And that freshness of vision brings about something new. Innovation, creativity is the name of the game. Now, you have to be creative. Just being creative and not doing other tasks, I'm not saying that. But the very seed of doing something new is the whole idea of being able to create something of new value to others. So one is Charaivati. Don't worry about what's happened in the past. You might have failed. You might have had failures. Steve Jobs had a very interesting way. He used to tell people, don't do market research too much because you're obsessed with the competition. To do something new, your best competition is yourself. If you keep getting obsessed with what is already there, you'll again be doing that. Have your own vision of doing things. Yes, do your diligence, etc. But have your original insight. Insightfulness is the key to entrepreneurism. Who is an entrepreneur? Somebody who has a new insight, a new drishti, right? That leads to people believing in a vision. The vision should be something dynamic, but the vision comes out of not getting stuck in the past. That is one thing. We come to a very interesting episode in the Mahabharata, because Mahabharata is a repository of both aspects, spirituality and material victory. Mahabharata was called Jaya. Jaya means, there was the original name. Jaya means victory. Victory can be in any field. It's all about achieving victory in life. Victory of inside, as in spiritual victory, emotional, mental victory, but also material victory, right? How you succeed in life in every way. And when Bhishma was dying, Krishna told Yudhishthir, he says, see, now you're going to become the king, you're going to become the leader. You're going to be the one who's going to be leading the kingdom. There's so much wealth in the kingdom. How do you manage things? How will you manage things? You must go and ask Bhishma. And Bhishma was lying on the bed of arrows, right? And Bhishma was the great respected patriarch. And he goes to him and he asks him, how do I lead? How do I succeed as a leader? And how do I make my people also succeed? Not just yourself, my team, people around me, the people who depend on me, etc. And Bhishma said something very nice. He said the person of power is respected by those who are under him, but the person of wisdom is respected by all. Okay, not just his praja. The person of wisdom is respected by all. And in our knowledge-based society, that is key, because you might call it wisdom, you might call it something attractive, you might call it entertainment, but the content you have, the content you are able to express is the key to everything. Keep your ego aside. Don't think about this power position. Those days are gone. Hierarchies have been broken in today's world. A small guy can become the most respected person, can have such reach, can have so much resonance. It's like going onto a mountain and, saying something, the echo. So today you say something and that can echo, but respect that. Make that interesting, make that rich, make that something which people would like to follow, and then automatically you'll consolidate your position as a leader. And you will get people, eventually in today's world, it's about having people who believe in you, who in social media parlance follow you. But that doesn't necessarily mean follow in a literal social media sense. What it means is that they follow your vision. They follow your wisdom, right? So make that the basis of your strength. And remember that you have something unique to tell the world. You have a unique story to tell the world. An entrepreneur is the greatest storyteller. He's telling a story which others buy into, right? And Steve Jobs was not a great technologist. He was not a great engineer. But his story was so good that the best engineers used to come to him. You see the beauty of it. You can't be a jack of all trades. You do what you do. And then you'll find, they say, in the old mythology, they say that when a flower has fragrance, then the bees automatically come. And that's very true of today's world. They'll cluster, but first create that internal quality. Believe in yourself. You do have an interesting story to tell. So now we come to what is the entrepreneurial mentality? What should a good entrepreneur, what sort of a temperament should an entrepreneur have? You see, you'll often find in life two people of equal skill, but you'll find one person is doing much better than the other. Both started well. Even the other person might have had more resources. Just to give you a small example, for example, between cricketers you would have seen two people of equal, and we've seen it in the Indian cricket team also. I won't take names, but you've seen two people grow up together with great skill together, but you'll see one person's temperament is better. And that temperament becomes the distinguishing factor. Coolness of temperament. The best example is Karn and Arjun. See, sometimes Karn used to get very agitated. Of course, life was very unfair to him. But Arjun was known to be generally very cool from within. And that's why Krishna chose him to tell the Bhagavad Gita too. The idea is, you look at a cricketer like Donald Bradman, Sir Donald Bradman. He's considered the highest. Of course, the statistics are there also. But you'll notice internal quality of temperament was beyond. So to be over and beyond, to achieve something which is extraordinary, you can lose your temper. Elon Musk is said to lose his temper. Steve Jobs was famous for it. But at the same time, don't let anything ruffle you within. Keep that Mr. Cool within you. And we have the good example of Mahendra Singh Dhoni actually, who actually in a way kind of changed the paradigm of how cricket in India is perceived. Because his leadership style was very different and he took it to another level. And you'll notice actually all of us, why we could have kept his name anything, right? But what did we choose? We can say he's a great wicket keeper, we can say he's a great leader, but we said Mr. Cool. And Mr. Cool actually has a real value because his teammates actually used to respect him. More than even some more talented players before his time. So this is a very important aspect to the best warrior is the coolest warrior. The best leader is the person who doesn't get ruffled from within. An entrepreneur is somebody who is willing to face crisis situations. A lot of us shy away from crisis situations. Entrepreneurs relish crisis situations. That makes them who they are, right? What is the difference? An entrepreneur is somebody who's willing to put himself in the line of fire. That is it. He's willing to stake everything he has, for example. It could be personally, it could be monetarily. He's willing to give his very life for it, in a way, metaphorically. Like it used to happen on the battlefield before, now it happens in the battlefield of business. What is a good example from mythology? If you look at Ram, why is Ram called the Maryada Purushottam of India? All sorts of crises. People loved him. His kingdom loved him. His father loved him. His family loved him. Something happened. But what was his reaction? He took the bullet in his chest, doesn't matter. He took it, but that put him a cut above. So many kings have been born in our country. But Ram attains a status where he's not only a deity and also an example for every kind of person. A person may have a warrior mentality, you can look at Ram. A person may have the mentality of a, meditator, you can look at Ram. So Ram is something which defines the character of that character who can transcend all crisis. So after he's exiled, he goes to Kaikeyi, who's responsible. His foster mother, his stepmother. And he tells her that, don't worry, I will go on my own. Don't get hassled, mother. I'm here. I will bear. And his father becomes very emotional. But eventually, if you look at it, Ram attains the ultimate victory. Then there are moments even he gets emotional and he gets sad. But an entrepreneur or a leader, true leader, is somebody even through his own personal sadness can create the great example for others, right? He's willing to go past crisis situations and face crisis situations with strength, but strength of many kinds. Strength doesn't mean that, I'll just go and fight. No. Emotional strength. Keep your emotions under check. Mental strength. Spiritual strength. That makes you strong from within. If you make that a basic value of your life, nothing will move you. Then the cyclone is happening, but you're in the center of the cyclone, you are still yourself. And if you look at all great leaders in any fields, for example, let's look at Guru Gobind Singh Ji, who's such a revered spiritual figure, but not only a guru, but also a poet, a philosopher, a person who had to look after the welfare of others. He wrote a letter to Aurangzeb, in the Zafarnama it's called, and he said, I have no personal enmity with you because I know my cause is right. So a person who can do the right thing is automatically inspires others. Similarly, we can see examples like Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. People love him after so many, and his legend is only growing because he's able to create a leadership example where he's willing to face every crisis. And that too from a very young age. Just in his teens, he's willing to face every crisis. And that takes him to the next level of being a leadership icon. Essentially, the principles are the same. You look at leadership politically, or you look at entrepreneurship, the winner's mindset, the true winner's mindset, the ones who are actually going to legend, you'll find that there's some common similarities between them. Those are called the values of leadership. Similarly, we can see, and these things are very important. See, we think spirituality is one thing and psychology is one thing. But the beautiful part is now we have brain mapping. We have very advanced in psychology. We can see that the person, the monk, when his brain waves are measured on the machines, they see that the brain is working in an alpha state. Alert yet calm. For example, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, if you watch him, you'll find that he doesn't get ruffled. He's very alert, very sharp, but at the same time, he's very calm. You know, if you work from that alpha state of consciousness, you become charismatic. People will follow you because you exude a different energy, a different strength. We can see another very good example of the link between spirituality and entrepreneurship. When we look at the example of Swami Vivekananda, he inspired two of the greatest entrepreneurs in history directly, Jamshed Tata and John D. Rockefeller. No greater industrialists, because they are revered till today, because what they've created has value today and it's only grown. And they set an example. Now, how did it happen? Once Jamshed Tata was traveling to America and Vivekananda happened to be on the same ship. And Swami Vivekananda actually interacted with Jamshed Tata because Jamshed Tata began getting very intrigued. Who is this young monk? He said, you know, Vivekananda looks like somebody who wants nothing but owns everything. And you know, a true entrepreneur or a leader is not wanting. You're giving. Be a giver. Give the best of your ability. Kya rakhna hai? Express yourself today. Give the best of yourself. And Jamshed Tata, coming back to the story, started talking to Vivekananda. And Swamiji changed Jamshed Tata's mindset. Before that, Jamshed Tata was very successful in trade. But he gave Jamshed Tata the idea of nation building, of industry, and Asia's first true industry. TISCO was born of it. And the beautiful part is that even the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, was born out of that. Jamshed Tata. And from there, the real legacy of Tata started. You have to remember, till that time, they were much bigger industrialist businessmen, even in the Parsis, amongst the Parsis. But you see, Jamshed Tata took it to a different level. Not only did he create huge wealth, okay, the Tatas are respected by everybody around the world, it doesn't matter who. So they're a great example of the link between spirituality and entrepreneurship, wealth creation and so on. So Jamshed Tata looked within himself and he realized that he can do something great. And belief in that ability to do something great sparked off the idea of creating this nascent industry. So that within, that looking within through Vivekananda's inspiration led to something outward. It's always inner inspiration. It comes from within, which is the key. The rest is your skills, your meticulousness, your precision, your alertness, etc. Right? And the second example is in the Western world. It's very interesting. You know, Vivekananda's work you can't really gauge. A lot of it is hidden. But you see his one inspiration, how it transformed an industrialist's life, an entrepreneur's life. Same thing with John D. Rockefeller. John D. Rockefeller was very rich by that time, but he was not the richest person in America. And he met Vivekananda, and Vivekananda didn't give him much importance because he knew that John D. Rockefeller is very egoistic. So Vivekananda didn't even look up from the letter he was writing. And Rockefeller said, "You don't know who I am." And Vivekananda looked up at him and he says, "Mr. Rockefeller, I know who you are and I know why you're here." And Rockefeller was shocked. He had never known a person to speak to him like that. People used to get up from their chairs. He broke his ego and Vivekananda said, "Let go." And Rockefeller said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Just drop it." And Rockefeller understood and he dropped his ego. And he paid attention. And Vivekananda told him, "Mr. Rockefeller, you've been given great wealth for a purpose. A lot of power and wealth has been placed in you in trust. You don't know, I know how much good you'll do in the world." Suddenly Rockefeller realized that he's not such a bad guy. You know, he used to pride himself on being a rough businessman, you know, like tough guy. Suddenly he realized his whole life changed. He started the Rockefeller Foundation. From there, Rockefeller Foundation became as a template for even today, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, the American tradition of philanthropy. So the giving. Give of yourself. Nah, don't just try to take. Giving means what? Be a sharer. It's like an echo. It comes back to you. They say that the more you give, the more comes back to you. That doesn't mean be reckless. Giving means give of your inner abilities, give of your inner potential, be a giver. If you take that stance, everything will follow from there.